Hello there and good afternoon. There is increased gossip in the press saying that Brussels will be offering Theresa May a lifeline for her Brexit In Name Only deal in the form of a guaranteed limit on the Irish backstop. Cabinet ministers are, say reports, expecting the EU to do this prior to the meaningful vote due to take place in the week of the 14th to the 18th of January. But it is hard to see what assurances could be given that would be acceptable to the country and to the MPs, especially those of the DUP, unless there was a comprehensive rewrite of the backstop provisions in the Withdrawal Agreement. So I personally can't see her getting anything that will go far enough. But before people get obsessed with the backstop issue, there is far more wrong with Theresa May's deal than just this. And the main one is that the PM's proposed deal causes massive Brexit uncertainty for at least 2 more years. Aside from all the power that the deal gives to the EU for the next 2 years plus, as well as the control over our defence and security we will be handing over to the Eurocrats, we will have no idea what our real relationship will look like with the EU once the transition phase ends, and that's if the backstop isn't triggered. That means that the next 2 years will be exactly the same as the previous 2 years. Far from working towards a better future for the UK, the government and civil service will be tied up in knots trying to come to terms with the EU on a distinctly less than level playing field. Those MPs, especially the Tory ones, who still insist on backing this nonsense, have not come up with a single proper Brexit-based reason for what they're doing, which can only mean that they are either thinking short-term for the good of the Tory party above all else, or they are thinking long-term on how to ignore the majority and reverse the Brexit process. Can you imagine another 2 or more years of wall-to-wall Brexit as we stumble on through the negotiations, with Remain campaigners doing their best to sabotage the talks at every level and at every opportunity, in the hope that they can say, "Told you so," and demand we re-enter while we're still closely aligned with the EU in a transition phase? But all the while there will be Brexit negotiation briefings and ministers going to and from Brussels for discussions, and the same old tiresome bunch of Remain, or by then re-enter, campaigners trying to put their oars in as well. And as I've pointed out before, if we ever do manage to avoid the backstop in coming to an acceptable deal, which is highly debatable, there would be the inevitable calls to have a referendum on it. And what happens if there's a general election prior to the talks ending? Do we start again from scratch? This whole thing would end up lasting longer than World War II, or more likely the 100 Years' War. And we'll be paying a huge £39 billion plus for the privilege. So in the final analysis, if you want a divisive and extremely expensive outcome that brings control over our borders, money and laws no closer than it was in 2016, as well as injecting the maximum amount of uncertainty into the economy and tying down our whole establishment structure for the next 2 years, then May's deal is the one for you. Finally, just a quick thought I caught from Twitter. Why is it that illegal immigrants in the English Channel belong to the UK, but the fish in the English Channel belongs to the EU? Anyway, what do you think about all of this? Please leave a comment below and thank you for watching.